Man, I used to love going to the arcade in the 80s and early 90s. Even when I had my NES, I would still go a few times a month. Arcade games were way ahead of home consoles in terms of graphics and sound, as well as a fierce competition of playing complete strangers in games like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Also, skee-ball. But mainly the arcade was the only place to play a good WWF video game. And no, I'm not talking about WrestleFest, we'll get to that later. No, I'm talking about its underappreciated big brother, 1989's WWF Superstars from Technos. Don't get me wrong, WrestleFest is better in basically every way, but Superstars was a ton of fun in its own right, and often gets overlooked. You have 6 wrestlers to choose from. Since the game came out in May 1989, I'm guessing the roster was chosen around SummerSlam 88. You have the mega powers of Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Jim Duggan, Big Boss Man, and yes, the Honky Tonk Man again. The game is based around tag team wrestling, which is cool since it allowed you to try out all 6 wrestlers twice as fast than if you could only play one at a time, thus saving you a few quarters. And when your team rides those WrestleMania 3 carts to the ring, you know you're in good hands. The game is a basic button masher. They had to keep it simple since it's an arcade game. You can't have a complicated system, you need to be ready to play right away. Everyone has a body slam and 2 grapple moves. Plus you can do running attacks, ground attacks, and come off the top rope. If you brawl outside the ring, you can break a table in 2 over your opponent's head. Then you can take the pieces and smash them on the noggin so hard they disintegrate. The ring is cavernous. Look at the size of it. It doesn't turn gameplay at all, it's just funny when you send a guy into the ropes and they actually run off screen. Everyone basically has their finishers. Savage can drop an elbow off the top, the Boss Man has his Boss Man Slam and a one-handed pin for good measure. Hogan can hit a standing leg drop but not a running one, but the Hulkster can do a leg drop off the top rope, and even off the top rope to the floor, which I believe they took some liberties with. No splash for the Warrior, but you can gorilla press and drop a knee on a dude's face before the 2-handed pin. No 3-point stance for Duggan, but you can just clothesline a guy. Good enough. They don't have the shake, rattle, and roll for Honky, but replace it with a rude awakening, which is a big upgrade if you ask me. You have to watch out for the ropes when doing moves. If you try suplex and you're too close, you'll both just bounce off. This is really a pain when trying Duggan's Bulldog, since he runs halfway across the ring to do it. If you go for a pin, the game switches control to the guy on the apron, so you can try and stop the computer from breaking it up. I often fail at this. The computer either steamrolls me or I'm way out of position on a backdrop and they just run right by. Thankfully the computer gives up after 1 or 2 tries. You don't start each new match with full health. You'll carry over whatever energy you have from the last match. Kinda sucks, but hey, arcade games are designed to separate you from your quarters. Savage and Honky will have on different colored gear for matches, which I always thought was a neat touch. Bossman and Hogan stay the same, of course. Duggan will alternate between blue and black, which is weird because I don't remember him wearing anything other than blue. And Warrior always stays the same, even though he had a ton of different colored gear. Am I going on about this too much? I am? Okay. The point of the game is to win 3 tag matches in Madison Square Garden. Then you take on the Muga-books for the tag titles. Let's listen to a promo from them.
They are declaring themselves challengers to your World Championship belt.
No one can beat Muga-books.
I'll put you to sleep with my $1 million dream.
I'd like to know what used car salesman they hired to voice Gene. Andre sounds way too coherent, and DiBiase sounds like he took a hit of helium in the back. So you face the Muga-books. DiBiase has an expanded repertoire of cool moves at his disposal, including the fist drop and $1 Million Dream, but he's manageable overall. Andre is where it gets brilliant. Basically, you can't do any moves to him. The only move you can do is to send him into the ropes and backdrop him. And if he's weak enough and you have enough energy, you can body slam him. The only other moves that work are the Big Boss Man's headbutt and the Honky Tonk Man's headlock punch. Seriously, Honky can get the better of Andre.
Just a honky-tonk man. Just a honky-tonk man.
Other than that, don't grapple with him, don't run at him, and for God's sakes, don't go toe-to-toe with him. It will end badly. And another cool touch, the Muga-books don't tag out. They have a little conference before switching off. Anyway, once you triumph, you get a newspaper headline celebrating your victory. I like to think it's from the National and written by Dave Meltzer. Elizabeth mumbles something about belts, and then the game basically restarts, only this time from Japan for some reason. Win 3 more tag matches, beat Andre and DiBiase again, and the game's over. The graphics are solid and, of course, blow away any home console at the time. Curiously, DiBiase and Duggan are the same character, just with different colors, something I didn't notice for years. Everything is well detailed, even the crowd that recoils in horror when you send a guy into the guardrail. The sound is great too. You can hear the grunts of the wrestlers when they take punishment, and the ref actually counts his pinfalls out loud. The game's not perfect. The lack of grappling moves really wears thin after a while, and there's not much need to play after you beat the Muga-books the first time. At some point the computer is just going to start beating you, and there's nothing you can do. Hey, it's an arcade game, it can't have you playing for 20 minutes without dropping a quarter in. Even when you're winning, the time limit goes by so fast you'll have to drop some coin to keep it from going to a draw. Also, the computer can pose after it hits a big move, and you can't. For real? Did Technos think giving your friend the Hogan ear cup after hitting a leg drop was something that wouldn't interest players? For a while, Superstars was the king of the WWF video games. Yeah, I'd rather play WrestleFest too. The game is a great representation of the late 80s, and it has a Macho Man. I can't tell you to emulate it, but given that Technos went out of business, and there probably isn't a copy at your local pizza parlor, I'll leave that up to you. Thanks for watching, and remember, a winner is you.